Reign Total Body Fuel. Monster Beverage Corporation had spent 2 decades selling one thing: caffeine, taurine, sugar, and volume. In 2019, it tried something different. Reign Total Body Fuel launched in March with 0 sugar, 0 calories, and 300 milligrams of natural caffeine, more than double what sat in a standard Monster can. The pitch wasn't energy, it was recovery. BCAAs, CoQ10, and electrolytes, ingredients pulled straight from the pre-workout aisle, not the energy drink shelf. Monster kicked off the launch by marching a crowd of bodybuilders and strongmen through Times Square, led by a Game of Thrones actor known for playing the Mountain. Within months, VPX Sports, the company behind Bang, sued Monster for ripping off its trade dress. Monster won that fight in 2021 and, in a separate case, blocked VPX from using the word Reign at all. By its third quarter alone, Reign had helped push Monster's global sales past $1 billion, proof that the fitness aisle and the energy aisle were becoming the same aisle. Alani Nu Katie Hearn was a fitness trainer and social media influencer who kept running into the same problem. Almost nothing in the supplement industry was built with women in mind. In 2018, she and her husband, Hayden Schneider, started Alani Nu to fix that. Supplements came first: protein, pre-workout, vitamins. The energy drinks followed in 2019. Low calorie, loaded with flavors like Hawaiian shaved ice and cosmic stardust, and marketed almost entirely through the same influencer channels that built the founder's own following. Behind the scenes, a Louisville operator called Congo Brands, the same company running Prime Hydration, took a majority stake and handled the manufacturing and distribution muscle the Schneiders didn't have. It worked. Revenue jumped over 300% in a single year, and by 2023 the brand was being shopped around at a valuation north of $3 billion. In 2025, Celsius Holdings bought it outright for $1.8 billion, cash and stock combined, folding a brand built on a female-first identity into a company that had spent years building its own around thermogenesis and fitness culture. ZOA Energy. Dwayne Johnson doesn't do anything small, and he didn't do this one small either. Alongside his business partner Danny Garcia, fitness industry veteran Dave Rienzi, and investor John Schulman, Johnson spent 18 months developing a formula before ZOA launched in March 2021. No artificial anything. Green tea and green coffee bean caffeine, camu camu and acerola for antioxidants, a full day's vitamin C, and electrolytes, positioned less as an energy drink and more as an immunity drink that happened to wake you up. Molson Coors signed on as the exclusive distributor from day one, a beer company backing a caffeine brand fronted by one of the most famous faces on the planet. It worked fast. Within roughly a year, ZOA was being called the fastest growing energy drink in the country. By 2024, Molson Coors had stopped being just a distributor and took a majority ownership stake outright, turning the Rock's side project into a beverage giant's core bet on where energy drinks were headed next. GFuel. Cliff Morgan didn't start out chasing gamers. In 2004, he founded Gamma Labs in a New York garage as a sports supplement company, and for years, its only product was a testosterone booster for athletes. Around 2011, Morgan stripped a pre-workout formula down, pulled the creatine out, added vitamins and antioxidants, and called it GFuel, just the G from Gamma Labs. The real break came from an employee who happened to be a competitive Halo player and noticed his own teammates were using the pre-training formula to grind late-night sessions. Gamma Labs leaned all the way in. The company distributed the powder at the midnight launch of Call of Duty, Black Ops 2 in 2012, and never looked back, building sponsorship deals with FaZe Clan, PewDiePie, and eventually Marvel and Capcom tie-in flavors. It became the first energy brand to build itself entirely around gaming, rather than sports or clubbing. In 2023, venture capital firms bought a stake in the company, and Morgan, the man who had spent nearly 2 decades building it from a supplement side project, stepped down as CEO. Xyience. Few energy drinks have a stranger story than Xyience. Russell Pike, a twice-convicted felon with a talent for raising money, founded the sports nutrition company in Las Vegas in 2004 and built its Zenergy drink into the official energy drink of the UFC. The formula was simple: sugar-free and zero-calorie caffeine with vitamins, but the sponsorship was not. Xyience signed a $15 million deal with the UFC in 2007, a deal so expensive it helped bankrupt the company within a year. The UFC's owners, brothers Frank and Lorenzo Fertitta, ended up as the company's largest creditors, and a bankruptcy trustee later accused them of engineering the collapse to seize the brand's assets for themselves. The case dragged through court for years before settling. Xyience survived anyway, sold first to Manzan in 2010, then to Big Red in 2014, which promptly dropped the UFC sponsorship altogether and repositioned the drink for marathoners and CrossFit gyms instead. The founder never got to see any of it. He was gone before the ink dried on the first bankruptcy filing. AMP Energy. PepsiCo didn't want to build a new brand from scratch in 2001. It wanted to borrow one. AMP Energy launched that year, labeled simply as AMP Energy Drink from Mountain Dew, riding the soft drink's existing flavor base and fan base straight onto the energy drink shelf. The formula added taurine, ginseng, guarana, B vitamins, and something PepsiCo branded MDX5 on top of the Mountain Dew profile everyone already recognized. It worked well enough to become the country's fourth biggest energy drink by 2009, trailing only Red Bull, Monster, and Rockstar. Then, the surge stopped. By 2008, competitors like NOS had passed it, and PepsiCo spent the following years trying increasingly specific reinventions. An AMP focus with L-theanine, an AMP active with electrolytes, chasing need states instead of just chasing Red Bull. In 2009, the brand finally dropped the Mountain Dew name off the can entirely and stood on its own. It never fully recovered the ground it lost, a reminder that borrowing an existing following can launch a brand faster than it can sustain one. Full Throttle. Coca-Cola's answer to the energy drink boom arrived late, in 2004, and it arrived loud, all racing graphics and motorsport sponsorships, eventually taking over Powerade's spot as the National Hot Rod Association's official sponsor in 2008. The original formula packed in the usual crowd: taurine, guarana, ginseng, B vitamins, alongside corn syrup and caffeine. But the brand never found the cultural foothold Red Bull or Monster had. 3 years in, Coca-Cola tried something almost contrarian, stripping the formula down, cutting the taurine and guarana and mystery vitamins out entirely, and selling a version that was mostly just sugar and caffeine with none of the category's usual noise. It didn't turn things around. In 2015, Coca-Cola handed its entire global energy drink portfolio, Full Throttle included, over to Monster Beverage Corporation in an asset swap, taking Monster's juice and soda brands in return. The company that spent a decade trying to outmarket Monster ended up owned by it. 3D Energy. Christian Guzman built a YouTube following, filming himself drinking White Monster on camera so often that fans started calling him the White Monster Guy. Then, the bloating got to him. In 2016, he launched his own drink, Up Energy, packaged in a plain white bottle, built around easier digestion instead of flashy branding. A lawsuit from a competing brand called Uptime forced a rename in 2018, and Up Energy became 3D Guzman, partnered with the same Congo brand's operators behind Alani Nu, Trey Steiger, and Max Clemens, to handle manufacturing and distribution while he handled the audience. It grew into a legitimate 16-ounce can competitor with a devoted following of its own. Then, Congo Brands helped launch a different energy drink with 2 other internet celebrities, Logan Paul and KSI's Prime Energy, without looping Guzman in first. He watched a product he felt carried a lot of 3D's own DNA get built by his own partners. No lawsuit followed, just roughly 2 years of lawyers and a relationship that went, in his words, from great to non-existent. Guzman eventually bought his way back to full ownership and relaunched 3D on his own terms, proof that in the influencer energy drink economy, the partners who build your distribution can just as easily build your replacement. Venom Energy. Dr. Pepper Snapple Group's entry into the category didn't try to outformulate anyone. Launched in 2002 out of Plano, Texas, Venom Energy leaned entirely on its packaging. Cans shaped and branded around snake species, Black Mamba, Death Adder, Mojave Rattler, each with its own flavor and its own venom-toned color scheme. The company pulled it from shelves by 2003 after a rocky first run, then relaunched it in 2008 with a sharper look and a wider retail push through Dr. Pepper's existing distribution network. It never chased the top of the category the way Rockstar or Monster did. Instead, it settled into convenience stores and gas stations as the reliable mid-shelf option, priced to move and never advertised like it was trying to reinvent anything. In a market obsessed with novel ingredients and celebrity founders, Venom's entire strategy was proving that a recognizable parent company and a menacing design could still carve out shelf space 2 decades later.